Sometimes, a single event or story can change all of history, or even a person's life. Today, you're about to hear a truth just like that. And if you miss the final moment, you'll miss everything. So before we begin, subscribe to this small channel and press the bell icon to get new video notifications. And tell me in the comments what topic you want next video. You're standing in the middle of a busy modern city. Cars passing, people scrolling on their phones, neon signs flickering in the distance, when the news notification pops up on your screen. Unregistered structure detected overnight near your location. Normally, you'd ignore it, swipe it away like every other headline that promises more than it delivers. But something about the thumbnail freezes you. It's a circular formation, smooth, dark, seamless, sitting in a place where yesterday there was only empty construction ground. Before you even realize it, your feet are moving. The sky overhead is a dull gray, the kind of sky that makes buildings look flatter and people walk faster. But your pace slows as you approach the cordoned-off area. The police tape flaps lazily, and beyond it sits the impossible. A structure that looks both brand new and impossibly ancient. No excavation marks, no tracks, no equipment, just a perfectly formed stone-like dome emerging from clean earth. A man nearby mutters, "Wasn't here this morning." Another whispers, "It wasn't here last night either." And you know that's true because you walked past this exact spot just yesterday. Drawn in by something you can't name, you slip past the distracted security guard and step onto the dust-covered ground. The surface of the structure feels strangely warm beneath your fingertips. Not sun-warm, but pulse-warm, like something alive just beneath the surface. And the moment you touch it, a faint vibration runs through the air, so soft you're almost not sure it happened. Near the base, you spot carvings, symbols etched into the material in patterns too precise for random weathering, too intentional for graffiti. You crouch down and brush away loose dust, revealing line after line of markings that seem like a blend of mathematics, astronomy, and something else entirely. Something older, something that has no business appearing on a structure in the middle of a modern city. You take a step back, tilt your head, and try to make sense of it. But the symbols don't want to be understood, they want to be recognized. You don't know why, but something about them feels familiar, like a forgotten childhood memory tugging on the edge of your mind. These aren't just decorative markings, they're instructions, diagrams, code. And then you notice it. A circular indentation at chest height, perfectly smooth, perfectly symmetrical. A place where a hand, or something like a hand, is clearly meant to go. You hesitate, because this is the exact moment in every documentary where the narrator says, "And that's when everything went wrong." But the structure seems to be waiting for you specifically. Not the crowd, not the scientists arriving behind the barricades. As soon as your palm touches the indentation, the entire dome responds like a waking animal. A deep, resonant hum rolls through the ground, and a faint light begins to pulse beneath the surface. Blue, then white, then blue again, matching the rhythm of your breathing even though it shouldn't be able to. The city noise fades away. The wind stops. Even your heartbeat feels like it's syncing with the vibration. Then, with a low rumble, a panel of the structure rotates open, revealing an interior chamber illuminated by a soft, metallic glow. Not electric light, not fire, not anything you've ever seen. And the people behind you gasp, but none of them step forward, because it's clear the structure is only responding to one person. You swallow, step closer, and peer inside. The walls of the chamber are lined with more symbols, more patterns, some glowing faintly as if powered from within. And at the center sits something that should be in a museum if museums ever accepted artifacts that broke the laws of physics. a stone mechanism carved with gears and joints, shifting ever so slightly, moving, awake. It shouldn't exist, it shouldn't function, but as your shadow falls across it, the gears align with a soft click that echoes far deeper than the chamber's size should allow. The impossible device has recognized you. And somewhere in the structure's depths, a hidden pathway begins to open.
You stand there for a moment, unsure if the shifting sound beneath your feet is real or just your nerves trying to make sense of the impossible. But then the floor of the chamber tilts ever so slightly, an intentional tilt, like a platform adjusting to your weight, and a seam appears in the far wall. A vertical line of pale light slices through the darkness, widening inch by inch, revealing a descending passageway so smooth it looks like it was carved yesterday. Whatever this place is, it has been sealed for a very long time, and something about your presence is undoing that seal. You take a breath, half expecting alarms or collapsing stone or a movie-style booby trap, but nothing happens except the soft hum growing deeper, warmer. You glance behind you at the city crowd gathering around the barricades, phones held high, faces lit by screens, but they stay frozen at the threshold. The chamber seems to accept you and reject everyone else, as if its doors only open for someone whose existence it somehow anticipated. The temperature shifts instantly. It's cooler but not cold. The air feels filtered, almost sterile, and faint metallic scents cling to it, like old copper wires and distant rain. The moment you cross the threshold fully, the entrance seals behind you with a silence so complete it's almost violent. No echo, no clunk, just finality. The descent spirals deeper than any underground ruin has a right to go. You run your fingers along the wall as you move downward, expecting rough stone, but it feels almost ceramic, smooth, seamless, impossibly perfect. And every few meters, a thin glowing line pulses beside you, illuminating the path like a heartbeat guiding you deeper into something that definitely isn't human architecture. Eventually, the staircase opens into a vast chamber. You freeze, not because it's terrifying, but because it's literally wrong. Wrong in scale, wrong in purpose, wrong in physics. The ceiling stretches upward far beyond where the ground level should be, and in the center of the room lies a raised stone platform surrounded by skeletal remains. You don't want to move closer, but your feet decide for you. The bones are arranged neatly, not scattered, not damaged, not fossilized by time. They lie with an unsettling stillness, like they were placed here intentionally. But the worst part is this: none of them match anything you've seen in textbooks. Some are elongated, too slender, with joint placements that defy human biomechanics. Others look almost human, but not quite. Skulls just a bit too smooth, eye sockets too large, jaw structures too narrow. They feel like an artist took the human skeleton and adjusted it by 2 degrees, just enough to feel familiar and deeply alien at the same time. And they're old, very old, far older than the structure itself appears. You kneel beside one of the nearly humanoid skulls. It's delicate, symmetrical, and so precisely shaped that it looks engineered rather than grown. Your fingers hover over it, but something else draws your attention before you touch it. A low grind of stone shifts behind you. You spin around. The walls are moving, not collapsing, adjusting. Entire stone panels glide across each other with mechanical precision, forming new pathways while sealing older ones. The architecture responds to your position, your breath, maybe even your heartbeat. Every time you shift your weight, the room reconfigures slightly, like it's guiding you towards something. You take one cautious step. The wall in front of you opens like an automatic door. Another step. The floor raises a few inches to match your stride. A third step. The lights shift color, soft white bleeding into amber, illuminating the next room like a welcome or a test. You can't decide which one. You move forward because there's nowhere else to go. The new room is smaller, more focused. At the center stands a cylindrical pillar covered in markings you recognize from the surface, those impossible symbols that feel familiar without making any logical sense. But now the patterns glow faintly when you approach, shifting their arrangement like they're trying to speak, trying to translate themselves into something your mind can grasp. You exhale, and your breath feels loud in the silent room. The symbols pulse once, then again. Then, impossibly, the pillar rotates and tilts toward you like a living thing, acknowledging your presence. It isn't threatening. If anything, it seems expectant. You realize something unsettling. This place isn't reacting to a person. It's reacting to you specifically. And as the walls slide closed behind you, sealing you in with the glowing pillar, you understand the truth you've been avoiding.
The room feels alive, not metaphorically, not in the poetic history is alive down here way you'd tell a friend to sound dramatic. No, this is literal. The walls seem to breathe in slow, measured rhythms, the glowing lines along their seams pulsing like veins carrying light instead of blood. You stand still, hoping the motion will stop, hoping it's just your eyes adjusting. But the moment you shift your weight, even slightly, the chamber reacts. Just a twitch, a ripple of illumination responding like a quiet whisper. You swallow and step closer to the pillar. That's when you hear it. At first, you think it's just the soft hum you've been hearing since the surface, echoing in a tighter space. But then it changes. It bends. It sharpens. The hum becomes a shape, a sound that curves around you, rises behind you, presses near your ear like a voice leaning in to speak. You freeze. The echo isn't bouncing off the walls. It's answering. You say, "Hello?" Soft, cautious, because talking to underground architecture isn't something you thought you'd ever do. Your voice ricochets through the chamber in a slow, swirling wave. And then, a fraction of a second later, the echo returns, but altered. Not your tone, not your pitch. Someone else's voice, shaped like your own words, but spoken by something that shouldn't be able to speak at all. Hello. You snap your head to the right, then the left, half expecting a person to step out of the shadows. No one is there. Just the chamber. Still breathing, still pulsing, still listening. You try again, barely louder than a whisper. "Who are you?" The echo returns, delayed, distorted just slightly, but this time there's something else beneath the word. A second tone, a layered resonance, not just sound, meaning. And the answer you hear is not the echo of your question. Look deeper. The glowing symbols on the pillar flare briefly, bathing the chamber in white light. Your instincts scream at you to turn around, to run back up the impossible staircase. Except there is no staircase anymore. The passage you descended has sealed into a flawless wall of smooth stone. There is no visible seam, no escape route. You are exactly where the structure wants you. You walk around the pillar, tracing the symbols with your eyes. They're shifting again, not randomly,
but like a puzzle reorganizing itself into a picture you're only meant to understand once the final piece falls into place. And then you see it. On the far side of the pillar is a large rectangular panel depicting something unmistakable. A map, but not of any place on Earth you recognize. Coastlines don't match any continent, no mountains where they should be, no oceans in the right places. It's a layout of an entire world, or maybe Earth as it looked tens of thousands of years before humans ever walked it. Cities marked where deserts now stretch for miles, rivers flowing in patterns that geology says never existed. The realization hits you with a cold weight in your chest. This isn't a map of a lost civilization. It's a map of a lost world. A world that predates recorded history so completely that even mythology doesn't bother trying to remember it. But someone tried. Someone carved this into a pillar beneath a structure that shouldn't exist, in a chamber that responds to you like it's waiting for confirmation of something. Your eyes drift lower along the map to a final sequence of symbols carved like a message. 3 horizontal lines, a downward arc, a spiral. And suddenly your mind flashes back to the surface, those symbols near the hand indentation. Not just decoration, not just mathematics. Instructions, coordinates, a prophecy meant for a future visitor. Your breath catches. This place wasn't built to warn people of the past. It was built for someone in the future, someone who would stumble on it at the right moment, in the right lifetime, with the right awareness to understand the message. The walls shift again, more quickly this time, their movements no longer subtle adjustments, but deliberate reconfigurations. The chamber narrows behind you, widening ahead, urging you forward, guiding you. You step into the new space that opens, and as soon as your foot touches the ground, every glowing line dims, then brightens again, forming a single symbol on the floor in front of you, a spiral similar to the one carved on the map. A final warning, a final invitation, a final confirmation that someone, somewhere in the deep past, knew you would one day stand exactly here. And for the first time since entering this place, the echo returns, not as a reflection of your voice, not as a mimic, but with a message that feels impossibly direct. You were expected.
You step forward, following the spiral carved into the floor, each motion feeling heavier than the last, as though the chamber itself is weighing your intent. The walls around you pulse faintly, reacting to your presence, shifting imperceptibly like they are alive, or at least aware. It's subtle at first, a gentle ripple, and then the glow along the edges intensifies, outlining a path forward that wasn't there a moment ago. This isn't a mere corridor, it's a guided passage, a corridor engineered not for movement, but for revelation. As you advance, a soft light appears ahead, but it's unlike anything you've ever seen. It doesn't cast shadows or reflect off the surfaces, it just exists, emanating from thin air, as if the chamber itself is breathing illumination. You instinctively reach out, but the light doesn't respond to touch, it reacts to attention. It intensifies as you focus, revealing carvings on the far wall. And then, impossibly, letters and symbols begin to float off the stone, hovering in mid-air like holograms. Technology, or magic, or something between the two. You can't decide, and yet your mind doesn't resist. It simply accepts. The chamber widens, and suddenly the floor tilts downward gently, almost imperceptibly. You notice it not by sight, but by sensation. The subtle pull beneath your feet, the way the balance of your body shifts ever so slightly. And there, at the center, stands an altar-like stone formation, unlike the pillar before, this one smooth and polished, as though crafted for a purpose far more delicate. You hesitate. The symbols etched into the surface of this altar glow softly, responding to your presence. Each pulse seems synchronized with your heartbeat. When you dare to touch it, visions strike, not in your eyes, not in sound, but inside your mind. Fleeting flashes of a civilization that could not exist, towers reaching impossible heights, streets flowing with liquid light, people moving in ways that defy human mechanics. Knowledge, architecture, science, art. And then the horrifying realization, it all ended, not with war or plague, but abruptly, vanished, obliterated. And yet the remnants, the echoes, were preserved here, encoded into stone and light for someone like you to find. The visions fade, leaving you trembling, your hands pressed against the altar. And as you catch your breath, the chamber responds again. The walls shift, forming a semicircle around you, focusing every beam of light onto the altar. The floating symbols rotate slowly, as though urging you to make a choice, to act, to engage. Your instincts scream caution, but something compels you forward. This is not merely exploration, it is interaction. You realize, with a mix of awe and fear, that activating the central device could change everything, not just for you, not just for science, but for humanity's understanding of itself. History as taught might be rewritten, or at least the truths long hidden might finally emerge. And yet, with that realization, comes hesitation. The device could expose knowledge that the world isn't ready for. Civilization might crumble under the weight of understanding, or perhaps it might finally awaken to truths buried in plain sight. You step closer. Every pulse of the altar seems to resonate with your very soul. The light intensifies, the visions return, this time longer, showing more than architecture and science, showing warnings, messages, instructions. Someone long gone, anticipated your arrival. This wasn't discovery, it was a test. And the final message becomes clear. The decision is yours. Engage and reveal the knowledge, or retreat and let it remain hidden. Either choice will mark you forever.
Speed and clear. By now, the enormity of what you've uncovered begins to settle around you like a weight, pressing gently but firmly on your shoulders. Every stone, every symbol, every subtle pulse of light in this vast